Tonight's story is a quiet one. It isn't about something dramatic or extraordinary. It's about something small and familiar and easy to miss. At the end of a narrow street, there was a house with one light still on. Every night, long after the other houses had gone dark, the light remained. It glowed softly through a single window, warm and steady, never flickering. People who passed by noticed it without really thinking about it. Some wondered why it was always on. Most simply accepted it as part of the street. But for someone named Ellie, that light meant something more. Ellie hadn't lived on that street for many years. Life had carried them elsewhere, the way life always does. New places, new routines, new responsibilities. Still, whenever Ellie returned to the neighborhood, their eyes always found that window. The light was still there. Ellie remembered when the house had been louder, when the door opened and closed often, when voices filled the rooms, when laughter drifted out through open windows on warm evenings. Back then, the light wasn't special, all the lights were on. But time changes houses the same way it changes people. Rooms grow quieter, furniture stays still longer, and eventually only one light remains. Inside the house lived an older woman named Clara. She moved slowly now, carefully, as if she didn't want to disturb the walls. She had lived in that house most of her life, and it felt almost alive to her, like it was listening. Every evening, Clara followed the same routine. She washed her cup after dinner. She folded a blanket on the couch. She turned off every light except one, the one by the window. Clara liked that light. She said it made the house feel awake, even when she was tired. Sometimes she sat in the chair near the window and watched the street. Other times she simply let the light shine while she rested in silence. She didn't feel lonely, she felt connected because that light wasn't just for her. Years ago, when Ellie was still a child, the same light had meant safety. It meant the day wasn't quite over yet. It meant someone was waiting. It meant there was still time to come home. One night, when Ellie stayed out too late, walking slowly back, worried about being in trouble, that light was always there, a quiet promise. You're not alone, you're welcome, and you're safe. Even now, as an adult, Ellie felt something settle in their chest whenever they saw it, a soft release, a loosening of something held too tightly. One evening, Ellie stopped walking. They stood across the street and looked at the house for a long time. The light glowed as it always had. Rain began to fall, gentle and steady, tapping softly against the pavement. Ellie didn't feel sad. They felt grateful. Grateful that some things remained, grateful that kindness could exist quietly without asking for attention, grateful that love didn't always need words. Inside the house, Clara sat in her chair, unaware of the figure standing outside. She sipped her tea and listened to the rain. The house creaked softly, settling. She smiled to herself. The light by the window continued to shine. It wasn't waiting for anyone in particular. It was simply there, and sometimes that's enough. Ellie eventually turned away and continued down the street, the warmth of that light following them longer than expected. That night, as they prepared for sleep, the memory stayed. Not sharp, not painful, just warm, like being tucked in long after you thought you were too old for it. And somewhere in a quiet house at the end of a narrow street, one light remained. Not because it had to, but because it always had. And because, in its own small way, it still mattered.